what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Yellow Pages Bookcast. We are your hosts. This is Steven.
This is Jason. This is where we go over Asian fiction, enjoy a good read. We'll be doing a short review, character breakdowns, casting choices if applicable, and talking about the overall theme.
All right, so next up, if you guys remember, we just did Sword of Kaigen, and now we're going back to our favorite graphic novel, Monstress, and we are currently on volume number 3 of Monstress. And this is written by Marjorie Liu and drawn by Seina Takeda. So, just to give you a little background, Jason originally, a long time ago, had mentioned that he was interested in reading this comic book, and as a lover of comic books, I was like, yeah, I'm totally down. So we've already read volume 1 and we've already read volume 2, and the comic books are normally a really good breather because there's not a lot to read per se, but there is like the art that's involved and the dialogue and everything like that. So it's a little different experience. So now we've moved on to book 3, and I'm going to give a quick non-spoiler overview of this book. So basically, it's the continuing adventures of Kippa, of Maika, and of Master Ren as as war is imminent amongst them, and they're just trying to survive basically with their whole world like falling apart. You have the Cumaea coming after them, and you have Zin, who's inside of Maika, who's always wreaking havoc. And basically, everything is being escalated one more, like it's going up one more level. Everything's becoming a little more political, and the violence is being ratcheted up, basically. So that's kind of like the non-spoiler overview of this particular volume, as they are currently on an island that's supposed to be like it's supposed to be a neutral zone. Everyone used to go to this place, and it has this force field slash shield that encompasses it during wartime, so no one can get through.
Which
It
is
has
kind of like Wakanda, right?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking during World War II, what was the place where no one could go to?
Switzerland?
Yes, Switzerland. So it's kind of like that too.
Yeah, kind of like it was presented here as kind of like a utopia slash sanctuary,
Right.
kind of where all of the races could get along.
Yes.
So in the context of this series, once we learn how great it was, peaceful it was, how everyone's working together, immediately it's going to get destroyed, right?
Yeah. And this place is called Pontus. I had to look that up really quick because I didn't remember. But
Pontius Pilate.
well, we all know what Pontius Pilate did, so it's anyways. So yeah, basically this is the overall non-spoiler. Jason, anything you want to add really quick?
Yeah. So as Steven said, there is escalation. We are learning more about the familial bonds, which are very complex of Micah. We learn more of the mystery of the mask, of Zin, of basically the events that are leading to the beginning of this series. Don't get me wrong. Even though we learn more, there's still a lot we don't know. It's kind of like the more you learn, the more you don't know. So it's just like an ever expanding web. Uh,
Yeah,
I'll say it again. Like this, Stephen had mentioned graphic novels being a breather. This is dense stuff. I would not. I would. I would not call it a break from normal novels. This is packed very densely with information. You got to pay attention. Even with repeat reads, there's still stuff that you think you'll miss. And there's so many names. There's so many different things going on. I don't think it's meant. I don't think the author is meant for us to be on top of everything. It's just a spectacle that's just unfolding.
I completely agree. And and okay, so normally on the next segment, we kind of just give a really quick personal ratings of how we felt about the book. And I'm just gonna jump in there really quick, and I'm just gonna say volume two is still my favorite volume, mainly because it kind of put aside all the politics. It kind of put aside all the intricacies and decided to go with more of a straightforward kind of seafaring adventure. And don't get me wrong, there was definitely them going to that island and discovering other things going on, but it wasn't as dense as the first volume and this volume. And because this volume is so dense and I still have questions because the world is still growing and growing, I can't say I can fully endorse it, but like we always say every episode when we go over a Monstress, the art is just amazing. You know what I mean? I'm gonna give this still a solid three. We've talked about it before, but the anachronistic cursing and dialogue still gets on my nerves. Although now they're like "goddess, damn it" and stuff like that. It's just so weird. Like they're in a completely new world. I harp on it every time we do this, but Sine Takeda's art is just amazing, and just her every issue creating new worlds and new layers and new destinations. It's just fun to watch where she's going, and at the same time, Marjorie Liu, she's doing her thing with expanding the politics, expanding the espionage vibe to it. And we're going to get to it in terms of the spoilers, but so overall I'm going to say it's a 3. Volume 2 is still my favorite out of the 3 that we've already read. I was going to go to a 2, but there, it's just too beautiful to like really discount completely. But so I'm going to go with a 3 on this one. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all of those things. I think I'm going to go a little bit higher. I'm going to give it
Oh,
probably 3 and 3/4 because you know,
yeah.
like you have to give it props for just how ambitious it is. Like it's ballsy.
Yeah.
And I know that's kind of a weird word to use to describe a graphic novel filled with basically 80% female characters, but
Yeah.
it's ambitious. It's huge. The the lore is just very intriguing. And I just have to respect that. That's why I'm going a little bit higher. But I do still have all those same criticisms. Like the anachronistic language, like the weird cursing, which I think it would be a lot stronger without it.
Yeah.
Um, there's just lots of stuff thrown at you, which is not necessarily a negative, but in terms of personal enjoyment, it's work. It's work. So I'm not going to hold that against this that much.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I agree. I agree.
yep. But
Um
um, but yeah, like the art is just chef's kiss. Like there are many moments that I'm like, wow, I would not mind having that spread like hanging on my wall. That's just amazing.
yeah, I agree. And the cover work is amazing, and we're going to get into some of our favorite parts, but let me just go ahead and endorse it again for all of you guys that are still interested. This is Monstrous Volume 3, written by Marjorie Liu, drawn by Sine Takeda, and I think we both fully endorse it. Jason liked it a little more than I did, but be aware when you go into this comic book, it is it is not a simple read, okay? It's a very vast world and a very ambitious world. What I mean is very ambitious world building and beautiful art. So I fully recommend it. And you?
Yep, I recommend it too. It's just even if you take away the art, the story in the world. It's got the combination of it's like a mishmash of a lot of very popular tropes that we've seen before, but
Yeah.
it's becoming something very unique. It's there's like a strong female focus.
Hmm.
There is its own lore. There is like a great Lovecraftian horror element that I think a lot of people love mixed in.
Yeah.
Um, it's got gore, it's gruesome. So I
Yeah.
think it's taking all of those parts that we're familiar with and it's elevating it and plop that gorgeous art on top, and I think you've got something special.
And bear in mind, this comic book is a rated R, so keep it away from your kids unless you're okay with them being immersed in, this bloody world pretty much. Actually, Jason, you brought up a good point. I think we should talk about it now, if you don't mind.
Hmm.
But if this were to be like a novel rather than a graphic novel, do you think, like we kind of talked about this, what do you think it would be like?
I think it would actually. So I'm kind of wavering because like there's a big division between young adults and adult fiction, right?
Hmm.
And to me, like with this visual medium,
Yeah.
this seems to me like it would be squarely in the adult fiction, kind of like Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
However, I'm worried, and not a knock against YA, but I don't think it's going to be intended for young adults.
Right.
Um, but I think it might fall into that bucket, and I think that's to its detriment.
What? Young adult?
Yeah.
Why do you think it would fall under young adult?
Well, think about it. There's like animal people fighting regular people, and you've
Oh,
got witches, and you've got magic, and you've got I don't know. I guess this is how you market it, but
yeah.
and I don't want it to suffer that reputation that YA fantasy tends to have. With
It's,
romance and love triangles and all that. Which there's none of that in here.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I'm just worried about like the marketing for if this were to become a novelization. I think it'd be awesome,
Yeah.
but I'm worried like because this is so unique. Like I can't think of any. Yeah, I haven't really. I don't remember reading anything that has quite this mix of stuff inside. So yeah, I'm just really curious on how this would turn out if this was turned into a novel.
Because you kind of mentioned it over the before we started recording. Basically, it is in a world that's as unique and as expansive as something like a Ken Liu in terms of the Dandelion
Yeah.
trilogy or dynasty.
Yep.
And so we're talking about, we could definitely see this as an ongoing fiction book series. And I guess I kind of understand what you're saying about YA. I typically don't want to read YA. And at the same time, so I have a question for you. Do you think any of the Jade books that we read by Fonda Lee, are those considered YA or are those just considered fantasy?
No, I think they're fantasy.
Okay, okay, because
Yeah, there's not enough romance and love interest in that book in that series.
so are you saying like in terms of YA fantasy, they always have certain tropes? Because I've never read YA, I guess.
Yeah, I haven't read too many. I'm just going off of what I know and like what I've
Uh,
heard. But
Is
generally, like that's if you want to market to that audience, then you kind of have to push certain things.
okay, okay. But anyways, I think it would be interesting, but man, if it's like 600, 800 pages, yeah, it would still be difficult for me. But why don't we get into the spoiler part of our commentary?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So a couple of things I want to start off with, and we can expand on it a little bit. One of the things I really like in this book is that it's actually expanding every character in terms of the main three. So, or the main four actually. So you have Maika, who's continuing her adventure, right, with Zen. So those are our main two characters. But even so, you have Kippa and Master Ren. And I think what's exciting about this book is that they're actually giving Kippa more to do in this one and Master Ren. For example, in this book, Kippa is actually, when they arrive at the island of Pontus, Kippa discovers that there's a refugee area for all the Fox clan, pretty much. It's a lot of Fox people. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Are they a clan or are they like a race?
I think it's a race, and I don't know why they're specifically refugees, because if I feel like that whole entire center is just Fox people,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And so I think it's so interesting that Kippa has such a, throughout the book she's got a really big heart, but in this book she's actually taking action to express these feelings towards her people, and you start to see again that she's looking for her aunt, she's looking for people that she can connect with a little closer, but at the same time she still loves, not maybe not love, but likes Kippa, likes Maika and Master Ren a great deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I really like that they're developing her, and on top of that, Master Ren is just such an interesting character, man. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Do you want to expand on that really quick?
First of all, do you know what he's a master of?
No.
Yeah, I wonder where he got his name.
Is he old? Is that why they're just calling him?
Well, so he has what, two tails or three?
Dude, yeah, I think he has three.
Yeah. So do you know the East Asian legends of the nine-tailed fox?
You've told me before, but go ahead and remind me.
Yeah. So I don't know the specifics, but the gist of it is there's a fox that wants to be human, and the more tails it gets, the closer it gets to being human, something like that.
Oh.
So I mean, I think because if you've noticed, a lot of the creatures that have tails have more than one tail.
Sorry, he has two.
Okay, so yeah, so he has two.
Yeah.
So, and then I just flipped to this page, and there's a cat with a ton of tails. Oh, it's Professor Tam Tam. So I'm assuming this Professor Tam Tam is old.
Yeah.
So, and he has like one, two, three, four, at least four tails. So I'm guessing Master Run's not that old.
Oh, okay. And if we're going with that lore, then typically I guess they're trying to become human and whoever has the most tails, right?
Well, yeah, I don't know about that, but I'm pretty sure the number of tails comes with how old and wise and powerful you are as a cat.
Ah. Or it's the opposite, because you know how cats have nine lives? Maybe
Oh,
he had nine tails and now he
one.
only has.
He has two lives left.
Yeah.
Every time you use one up, they cut it off.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like I don't know. One thing that we find out is, of course, he's on a mission, right? And he seems to be like a spy or something of the sort, right?
Yeah.
Well, he's definitely playing a lot of sides in regards to his position, and I almost feel like he, throughout the dialogue, seems threatened by these upper management kind of cats. So I'm wondering if this is his second to last chance to do something really good for his clan.
Yeah, could be. Um,
And yeah, what's up?
yeah, it just seems to me that he's being forced to do something he doesn't want to do anyways. It seems to me like he's in debt, and this is
Yeah.
like the last job he has before he's free of his debts, which aka means you're gonna kill him.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, like it just makes you curious about his past, where he comes from.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't remember his intro in volume one, but it just seems like he's just there, you know. He's just there.
Yeah.
He's like a fast talking cat that gets you into trouble more often than he gets you out of trouble.
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely it's he's still a mystery to me.
Okay, so we were talking about Master Ren and his lives and just his mercurial nature. You know what I mean? So I can't wait till we get a volume where it's primarily his story. I think that would be so cool.
Yeah, because he seems like kind of a gangster to me.
Yeah. And then
Especially, remember that big boss cat?
yes,
Yeah, I'm like, I want to learn more about that world.
I'm completely with you there. And on top of that, just dude, it seems like they have like this spy organization, and they have something called the Doctor, who seems to be the assassin or something.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking about?
yeah.
So I definitely can't wait to have a volume or an issue that's just like, all right, this is Master Ren, this is his origin story, and these are his cat people. Additionally, I wanted to bring something up because I did 3 rereads of this book, and this last reread, I did not reread these certain sections, but I'm starting to really enjoy these little cat history lessons at the end of each issue. You know
Yeah,
what I'm talking about?
yeah. There's a lot of those.
I know they're just so fun, but I can't recall them. But like, there's got to be a reason why Marjorie decides to put those at the end of each issue.
Because there's just so much lore. It's just so
Yeah.
much going on. Uh,
I'm wondering if that teacher is actually teaching a young Master Ren.
yeah, could be.
Yeah, that. But anyways, okay. So we've talked about. I talked about what I enjoyed with these side characters getting a little more characterization, a little more backstory, a little more fleshed out in their growth. What about you? What do you see in this volume that really stands out to you?
Yeah. So one of my well, I don't know if it's a favorite part, but one part that I was laughing out loud was when they go back to the laboratory,
Okay.
and it's pretty cool because you can see a lot of. You can basically see it's like the key to whatever happened to the events leading up to the volume one. But the thing is, like every time they go deeper inside, Zin. So Zin is like another character that I'm kind of enjoying because at first he's this mysterious, all powerful monster, but then you start seeing their little specks of personality in there.
Yeah.
Here, he's almost like comic relief, right? It's like
Yeah, I
basically
can
there's
see
like
that.
a guardian inside each lab that they go inside, and the guardian's like, "Oh, you pissed me off. Like you don't remember you did this," and like attacks Zen. Zen's like, "Oh well, that was a long time ago." So
Yeah.
and this happens multiple times. So you're like, "Man, what did this Zen guy do?"
Yeah.
So it was pretty funny, and you get to learn a lot more about his personality. He's almost
Yeah, because he
he's,
mentions it's like 3,000 years since I've been in this location.
yeah, he's becoming more like reading more and more as like a human like character.
Yeah, I agree right there. And he's just as sarcastic as well. Like
Yeah,
he's starting to get a lot more sarcastic.
yeah. So I'm starting to wonder, is he really a monster? Um, is he just part of Micah? You know,
Wait, what do you
like,
mean? So
like is he kind of feeding off of her personality? Or maybe he was never a monster in the first place. Maybe he used to be human that turned into a monster, a weapon.
oh.
Who knows?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, hopefully they hopefully they do a separate issue just for his backstory then.
I mean, I'm sure we'll find out more, but that's probably coming up soon.
Because honestly, like I said, every single issue, every single volume, we're discovering a little more about him, and he obviously is not the most, what is that, virtuous. Like he's pissed off so many different people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And on top of that, well, they consider them, are they the old goddess or the old gods?
Yeah, they're like the old gods. Um, like in volume 1, I remember they saw the ghosts of the dead gods, like just hanging out in the sky.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, those huge splash pages. Yeah, that's
Yep.
true.
Yep.
But yeah, this one he doesn't do as much I as he did in the first two, like the way he killed and ate people. It seems like this issue went a little more towards Micah and just showing how strong-willed she is, in my opinion. Because, but at the same time, like Micah's kind of she she's kind of really unappealing. Like,
What do you mean?
in the sense that she's always angry and moody.
Yeah, so that reminds me of one of my other nitpicks on the series.
Yeah.
Um, like if you take out Zin
Hmm.
and you take out all of the supporting characters, like what are we left with? Not something really compelling to me.
Yeah.
She's kind of one dimensional. So not only that, but it also seems to me like she's lacking a little bit in agency.
Hmm.
Um, so the difference is like when you have agency, you are not left reacting to events. You are proactive. You make the
Okay.
event
Okay.
happen instead of things happen to, and you just react. So that seems to be what's happening to her. Is just you know just reacting to things happening.
Yeah.
Um, which it's not as big of a deal because you've got a compelling cast of supporting characters and you have Zen, right? So
Yeah.
that's just like another one of my nitpicks on that character.
And and I think that's why I like the second volume more, because she was actually compelled to go to this island, right? Whereas this one, it's back to the, oh shoot, I got to do all this shit to survive.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I have to save the world again. So she's kind of like one of those protagonists that doesn't want to be there, but she has to be. So yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying about she doesn't have that much agency. In terms of that, we are introduced to a bunch of new characters. There's this antler headed lady named Vin. Is that her name?
Yes. The
And she's kind of
engineer.
like, huh? Huh?
He's some sort of engineer.
Right, 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 right. And then on top of that, Corvin is back. If you guys remember him, he's from the first volume. And I guess he's a crow hybrid.
Yeah, because Corvus is the Latin name for a crow.
Oh, I didn't know that. Did you look that up?
No, it's just a weird, useless fact that I knew.
Oh, okay, okay. And then additionally, the villains in this one are a little crazier. So basically, they're like the old gods, but they've actually invaded. Um, is it? I guess they're Cumaeans, right?
Yeah, the witches.
Yeah. So there's the Inquisitrixes, who are like these really badass Cumaeans. Like they're the top of the line assassins for the Cumaeans, and it seems like the old gods, kind of like Zin, but her sister or his sisters or whatnot, have invaded these, or have completely overcome these ladies, and what, how do you say that, not invaded but like pretty much
Possessed.
possessed. Yeah, that's the perfect word. And and these ladies are super violent. They're going around assassinating all kinds of people because they literally just want to start a war in this issue. And then at the end, there's this crazy fight scene between Micah. She gets this old. god killing weapon, and she basically slashes one of these Inquisitrix's face off, because she's wearing two pieces of the mask, and it's just so bloody. Yeah, that's one of the images I recall. What else is there?
So there are a few questions we had, right? Basically, what is that thing in the sky and why did they build a cannon to shoot it?
Oh, right. I don't think we can answer it. There's also this whole mission to start up the shield of Pontus, but Zin Zin and Maika are the only one that can do it, and you have to put on this armor for some reason. And Maika puts on the armor, but Zin absorbs all the energy and just destroys the shield. So Pontus is fucked. Like, and that's what makes them go around gathering parts to build a cannon to shoot the thing in the sky, which I don't remember the volume expressing why they had to do that. So yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like a last moment thing. It's like when they're in there about to do it, they're like, "Oh, by the way, you have to put this on to do it."
Yeah. And then Micah kind of screws up because she doesn't know how to aim it. So she shoots like this little laser beam, and then she decides to put one of the masks on, like one of the segments of the mask, and it like doubles the power of the cannon and shoots that thing out of the sky. I think when you get down to it, this volume moves the story forward in the sense that there's a lot more intrigue that's starting up, and there's definitely a lot more action in this one as well, and character development, which is very important.
This is kind of like a personal thing, but why is it that? So I'm at the part where Micah is fighting the other possessed Inquisitrix,
Okay.
and they're fighting, and then Zin's like, "Oh, by the way, I'm not that strong or something." The exact
Okay.
quote is, "My sister brother was always much stronger than me." And I'm like, how come the one on the main character's side is always the weakest? Like whatever it is always the weakest. You know that trope where like, oh, the evil friend is super powerful, but when they turn back to good, they become super weak.
Yeah, yeah,
Kind of
yeah.
like that. It's just
It's like
kind of bothersome.
it's kind of like Vegeta, right?
Yeah.
He meets Goku, and all of a sudden he's always second in power. But at the end of the day, it's not about Zin. It's about Micah and Zin combined, because when he says that, or she, at this point, I don't know if Zin is a she or a he. Should
It's
we
I
just
think there's because it says sister brother, so I think that's meaning there is no gender, which makes
yeah, let's say gender neutral, right?
yeah, because yeah, that whatever they are transcends
Yeah,
our
gender.
our notions of gender.
So let's call it it, right? Let's call Zin it. So it may be the weaker one, but when it's combined with Micah, I don't know what it is, but seems to overpower that villain. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because because that Inquisitrix lady, right? She's wearing the mask, and she's able to shoot like these tendrils of red daggers, pretty much red tentacles that are so sharp they just go straight through you. And then she does that to Micah, and she's trying to absorb Zin into the Inquisitrix, basically. But Micah is able to overpower her with, I guess, Zin's power as well as her will amplifying her Zin's abilities. So it's like really, really. I think that's another thing, because at the end of the day, we don't really know how powerful Zin is. We just know what he says, or it says, you know? So, and at the same time, we just know Micah is just a really strong willed woman who who literally just wants to be with her girlfriend Tuya.
Yeah.
And I guess in this volume we also learn a little more about Tuya, who's a love interest in volume 1 as well, and is in Maika's dreams in volume 2. She's always there kind of haunting Maika. And basically we find out Tuya is kind of like a is part of the either the Dawn or the Dusk clan.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, yeah. So, anyways, overall, right? I think we can both agree that this is a really complicated read.
Yeah, I think a third and fourth read might be required just to get more of what's happening because
Yeah,
I'm positive there's many things that we missed.
yeah. Dude, I just read it the third time, and I still don't know what the guy in the sky was and why they had to blow him out of the sky.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, me and Jason, although we agree that it's a really good read. Just be aware, it's dense and it's bloody. And yeah. Should we talk about what we're reading next time?
Um, are we reading what I think we're reading next time?
What do you think we're reading next time?
The Speaking Bones.
No, we were gonna do Babel first, but I'm okay with just jumping to Speaking Bones.
Oh, let's do Babel. I'm intrigued.
Okay. For all of you guys out there, get a copy. It's what's her name? RF Kwong?
Yes.
Okay, so RF Kwong, it's her new novel that came out. It's fairly recent. I think October maybe 2022. So get a copy, RF Kwong. It's called Babel. We're going to check it out and we're going to review it on our next episode. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. And that's it for Monstress Volume 3. And that's it for me and you, Jason.
All right. Signing
So
up.
so hopefully you'll be hearing this by March or April, the next episode.
Hopefully sooner. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll shoot for sooner. But all right, thanks guys. We'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Bye.